Here at GC Sports, that means one thing. It's the C Custom Group here at Pocono Speedway in the broadcast booth with me tonight. Per usual, I have the ever so talkative P. Colligator.
Hi.
And I also have in-race reporter this week. You guys have heard Private Pat in the last couple weeks. He's been a front runner. This week we have last week's race winner here in the C group. That would be Ward Burton himself.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so we're headed to Pocono, 25%. You're seeing it on your screen right now. That's going to be 32 laps. These drivers are going to get about 19 to 20 laps in the tank, really depending on their gears. This is one of those tracks that will take a little bit more fuel than what per lap than what it says you get. However, you're seeing it right there on your screen. Hunty Wild has the pole for tonight. Pico, what are you thinking the keys to victory here for this group is going to be on Wednesday night?
I have no idea. I hate this track.
All right, well, then let's go over to somebody that has a little bit of experience and might actually have a little bit of talent. Word, what do you think the keys to victory are going to be to get that number 77 machine up front again here this week?
Well, I think when you look at this track here tonight at Pocono, survival, of course, is going to be the number one key. No cautions, no opportunity for mistakes. It is as simple as one crash, specifically in the tunnel turn, that we'll probably, if I'm being honest, see on lap one that can ultimately change the outcome of the race. And if you're a guy that's mid-pack, for example, I'll take a good little pinpoint. For example, the 20, who's decently high points at DB the best. I believe he's 6th or 7th. Could be wrong in the points. But he sits in the middle of the fray, and he's right in the hot zone for an opportunity of mistake that he can either capitalize or be involved. And to me, that's a little bit concerning. You also mentioned fuel. I'm interested to see, obviously, it's going to be a one pit stop race, about 19 to 20 laps on gas. However, I'm eager to see what drivers break up the strategy. Maybe you go as far as you can so you could try to take a can and a half at the end of the race. Or do we see guys try to cut this race in half? We saw that work last week to an extent at Chicagoland. I'm eager to see how the strategy plays at Pocono. Much less laps, but longer time does it take per lap, about 50 seconds. So this one, even though it's 32 laps, looks short. It's going to be a long, grueling 25% race.
Pete Cola here in about 2 seconds. You'll be able to accept your invite. And Word, can you let us know? The timer should have expired by now.
And we're in.
So I'm going to blue screen for just a minute so I can hop into the race lobby. And Pico, I'm going to give you the start of the race over to you. I'll be watching the race leaders, and my mic will be on mute for just a couple minutes here.
Great. Hopefully we get to see a big one.
Hopefully I'm not involved in it.
Got Robbie in the chat. Good to see Robbie in the chat. And Deuce said he couldn't make it.
So when we come here to the start, expect things to get hectic real early. As in fact, we're about to come to the green, but expect it to be 2-3 wide, getting into turn number 1.
And you said turn number 2, right? Might be the trouble.
Turn 2 is my prediction for the record. The 21 not going already.
Oh.
Here we go. Stack up on the high side. Honey Wild, too. He's got a contender, the junior, to the inside looking for the lead.
Everybody gets through there pretty clean, it looks like. Everybody in the back made it through.
This is where it gets hectic. 2 by 2. About 10th on back into the tunnel turn.
I believe they made it.
Yeah, everyone figured it out there. But now this is where you got to get patient. The draft is really, really strong. At times, you're almost faster passing the guy in front of you than you are bumping here. That is the one tough part about normal draft is we have a battle for the lead.
Is that Patton in the 12?
No, that would be
Duh.
the junior Patton sitting right on my outside in the 21. So test car today. Not typical for him. Must have forgot to switch over when he was making the changes.
2x2 going through the tunnel turn. In-race reporter was part of that 2x2.
GTR Mike got on my back bumper a little bit there. Real nice and clean though. No problems yet, but this is where it's going to start to get hectic. Everyone's starting to stack up, and there is just nowhere to go now. Cars legitimately just all bumper to bumper to bumper, getting ready to go to turn 1. This is not an easy track by any means.
Holy cow. There were like 5 cars stacked on top of each other on the high side there.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen again because of the draft and no other reason. You're going to have guys that are just on top of each other. It's going to take 2 cars to really draft well, to really break away here. You're not gonna see just it be a, how do I put it, just one guy's, oh, the 12's in the wall. Goodness, I thought he was about to overcorrect. Oh man, I almost saw my race already flash before my eyes. But here's the opportunity I'm talking about now. You have 2 guys out in front. Pat and myself sit in that first, second spot, about 4/10 back to Honey Wild. This is where you can utilize that opportunity. Single file, try to break away, make it a 2-3 car race, and really take control now rather than later.
Yeah, I really like this this setup here. It's really crazy here at GC Sports in the C group. There's no caution, so these guys have to be really forewarned of what they're doing. We've seen the 12 hit the wall. Last week's race winner, the 77 Ward Burton, our in-race reporter, he almost gets collected in it and could have caused big problems for all these drivers in this lead pack right out the gate, and as of right now they're favored to win being up front, but one small incident can cost you your race, unlike where in the B group you have cautions that could help you and help you recover. You just don't have that luxury here in the C group. As we see that 21 Ford Mustang, a private patent, leading the way in front of Ward Burton and pole sitter Hunty Wild sitting there in 3rd place. Pretty good racing. These guys have all singled out. This is a really draft heavy track. What are you watching over there, Piccola?
Just a second ago, I was watching Street Machine. He lost a little bit of momentum off of 2, and it looked like he lost 2 or 3 spots. Seems like if you lose your momentum, you know, you could lose a bunch of spots here, the way the draft is. Everybody's in packs.
We have a battle for the race lead. The 77 in-race reporter, he looks to the inside of Patton. He can no longer fall in line as Hunty Wild gets to the outside. The 12 of Duha Jr. looks like he's going to try to follow the 77. The 21 gets down low in front of the 77. That's going to still be your race leader. Battle right now is for second as we're 2x2, 2 rows deep with the 12 and the 18. Duha and GTR Mike right there battling for top 5, but we have Jacob sitting in 6th right now. He's trying to get into the top 5. He's a little bit out of the points after missing last week. He was on vacation, so he's going to try to make up as many points as he can in that number 10 SHR Ford Mustang. We've seen a big wreck back there entering pit road. I believe that was the 37 car. Going to try to get back there. Nope. It was the one of Warpig. Yeah, that was who it was. He got spun onto pit road. So not only is he going to be pitting right now, he's also going to have a speeding penalty. And on top of that, they are not in their pit window. So the number 1's still going to have to come back down pit road. So that is going to cost him any opportunity of winning. However, luxury here at Pocono, you do not lose a lap when you go down pit road. I just seen the 9 car of Bull Rider. He's now flipping on the second straightaway after turn 1 before the short shoot, so that's not good for him. But back up front, Patton is pulling away just slightly as Ward Burton and Hunty Wild battling pretty good for.
I wish I could set up my camera to just stay on turn 2. It seems like every time I go there, there's some action going on.
Well, it's the best zone, too, to make a pass, because while the straightaway is great, you have guys all on top of each other. If you have a good exit, you're able to get underneath, but then you need some draft help, which is the toughest part. And we'll see right now for Patton, by the way. He's going to break away just a little bit from the field, but now everyone's going to stack back up because of this draft. Now, the good news is it's about a 6-car breakaway, so really there shouldn't be too much racing going on in this pack. Guys should continue to be on. There's goodness, the 12 almost again loses it. No, he does lose it. Oh, goodness.
My goodness.
He collects the 38, the 22, the 51. Lots of drivers involved in this incident here. I see somebody in the grass. Looks like the 14 now still in the grass. They're still trying to collect it after that big one. Street Machine in the 37. You talked about him being off pace earlier. He gains most ground. It looks like he just passed about 5 cars. Long live the sauce, now the leader of this second pack. And we see back here Ward Burton, our arena race reporter. He talked about the 20 car, DB the best. 7th in points, only 40 points to the good. Qualified 7th. He kind of was mid-pack. All this action that's going on, he is no longer in the lead pack. He's back here in the second group, under fire by drivers like the 22 of Blaney, the 37 of Street Machine, avoiding all these incidents that happen at the front of the pack. So that 20 machine, Ward Burton talked about it, starting mid-pack the way he did, makes you have to fight for everything here throughout the race. Now, I want to get to the fact, Pete Cole, you talked about how you want to watch Turn 2 as Turn 2 right there, broadcaster curse there, but right, so turn 2 here, one of the biggest things that happens, it's one of the best places to pass drivers on the track. You can really make up a lot of ground. You're able to cut down onto the apron. It doesn't always spin you out depending on your setup. However, on the exit, if you get on the gas really quick, you can gain a lot of ground on the people in front of you. The second to that, if you get on it too quick and your car's tight, you're going to smash that wall on the exit, causing big problems for not only you, but any driver in that pack with you. Over to you, Piccola.
Yep.
And we get our usual answer from Piccola. Bull Rider in the 9 car is out. He was the car we seen flipping earlier, but he was talking about in the chat that he had a car that was a little too tight. He kept hitting the walls on 1 and 2. I told him maybe a little bit more than 10 minutes in advance before the race starts, you could ask for help. I mean, they have been working on these setups for a week. He waited a little late. It didn't pan out, and he's our first retiree in that number 9, Hooters Chevrolet. And I'm sure there's not too many fans of NASCAR that are upset to see that 9 car sitting on pit road out of the race.
No, he's not popular.
Ward, I'm over to you. You guys seem to have caught the race leader, Private Patton. He has a good machine, that number 21 test scheme, but it looks like you have the faster car with that draft from the 42 cars. You're going to make a move on the inside. How's the car feeling, and how is the draft with these 5 cars?
Car's feeling real good. I think the 42 is having a tough time really trying to understand the draft a little bit right now, as he's going to let me back up. You know, you kind of have to really back up your corners and give the guy in front of you a little bit of space, you know, to really get through these corners. It's so easy, so easy here as this long run continues on to really lose the nose of the race car. So everyone's going to have to make sure they're in tip-top shape to ultimately make sure they're not running over each other and giving each other enough room. I mean, again, it's early on in this race. We're not even halfway. I don't see why everyone up here continues to not give and take, expand the gap. Who cares if you're in the lead right now or who's second, third, and so on? Let this race continue on, stay in this lead pack, and try to expand it. If you're not the faster guy out in front right now, goodness, Honey got a little bit loose, maybe collected the wall there. You've got to use every opportunity you can right now to protect your position in the top 5 and just let this race continue to come to you.
Yeah, we actually just seen it right there. Honey got into the wall. It affected the 18 of Gator Mike as well as the 10 of Jacob, as you were talking about it. A little bit too much racing, a little bit too much take and not enough give. What that does, the 42 makes a mistake trying to be racy. That causes the next 2 cars as well as him now. They have lost the 21 and the 77. That may seem minuscule, 3 cars obviously faster than 2, but if the 21 and the 77 just outright have the better gearing and the better cars, it's going to be almost impossible for those 3 cars to utilize that draft to catch those 2 if they're working together, especially the fact that the 10 and the 42 are still side by side as Gator Mike's pulling them both, but he looks a little tight on exit. Now I do want to give a big shout out to GTR Mike 89. He's running up here. This is so far his best run of the season. He's running in 3rd place in that ugly number 18 Skittles machine. He has actually had, this is now race number 4 of the season. In the first 3 races, when the race is over, he has had one of the top 5 fastest laps of the race. However, this being the first time he is yet to be involved in an accident. I say yet because, well, I don't put anything behind him. He just may still by the end of this. But that 18 machine running good, and he really needs it after being involved in wrecks in week 1, 2, and 3 here in the GC Sports C Custom Series League. Pete Cola, what are you watching over there? You got your eyes on any particular driver?
No, but I just, you know, what you're talking about, Gator Mike, he ran real good in the sliders too. If it wasn't for that car that's out front right now, he might have got the win on the slider side too.
Yeah, I don't disagree. GTR Mike on the slider side is absolutely one of the top competitors. He's really new to the customs. He's not so sure yet on how to build them. I know I work with him. I know you work with him a little bit, trying to help him out. It's just a new ball game for him, and he always has a hot rod, but having a hot rod and knowing the situation, especially in customs, is a little different than sliders, because sometimes with the slider customs, and for example, over these sliders, people will start breaking out a lot sooner than they do on sliders, right? For example, sliders, you'll say you get 6-7 laps before your car starts getting a little loose if you're running a higher slider. On a custom, it's usually actually the first 2-3 laps you're a lot looser than what you are on lap 4, 5, and 6, just because the way the setup is. So GTR Mike having a fast car week after week, but struggling to find the podium and get interviewed post race. But two drivers that never have a hard time getting a post race interview are top two, Private Patton and Ward Burton. It's going to be really interesting to see how the pit strategy goes for these two drivers, because with no cautions, the biggest
2x2 coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, the biggest separation that happens with the custom series with no cautions is the green flag pit stops. There should only be one tonight, and that one is make or break. It's money stop right out the gate. You don't have a second and third stop. You can try to use strategy to make up anything. It's going to be one and done, so you really can't make a mistake on your one stop here tonight.
Man, look at that draft. I thought them going 2x2 there, let Gator Mike and them catch them where they would get the draft, but right down that front stretch, they just seem to pull away.
I'm going to do a quick, since we haven't gone down pit road yet, let everybody at home see all the drivers that are on track in case you haven't seen them yet. We got Street Machine in the 37. Actually, I'm going to start with our pole sitter, which was Hunty. Hunty in the 42, Private Patton in the 21. That's your race leader. Daha started third. That's your number 12, fourth place starter, GTR Mike, running third now. Fifth place starter, but running second, the 77 Ward Burton, sorry. I don't know how I messed up Burton and not Ward. 37 a Street Machine in the Energizer machine. Love that paint scheme. 38 of Jose Protege. He had a hard time in the sliders and of keeping the draft. He had a fast car, but had a hard time keeping the draft. Looks like he's having the same issue here as he runs basically by himself. Memphis Phoenix.
Right.
Yeah, Memphis Phoenix in the 4. He's running by himself. He had a pretty hot rod in qualifying. One of the few that chose not to pit. The 10 of Jacob in this second pack now, as they've lost the 21 and the 77. The 14 of Sammy Lunatic. I'm assuming she has already come to pit road, as we see DB the best on pit road now in the 20. We talked about him. Long live the sauce in the 51 machine, rubbing him. He's in the 3 car. Now, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but Rubnum is one of our few drivers that is actually in a wheelchair. He has a little bit different strategy when it comes to pit road. He can't exactly pit with somebody in front of him, as he literally has to pick up his leg and put it on the brake pedal to get down pit road. So he does a really good job, though, and at Talladega, he was one of our top finishers. So that 3 car looking for a podium here. Blaney in the 22 gets really loose off 3, coming to pit road. FRR True Death, he was the top 5 finisher last week at Chicago. Then we have the man, the myth, the legend, or Man-Me, as we called him last week. Tiller in the 24. The Guardian has been a front runner here in this series in that 16. Bad qualifying, and it's cost him so far tonight. Warpig, we talked about his struggles in the 1. Bull Rider out of the race, and rounding out the field, Keith in the 2 car. Hunty Wild gets into the wall, but simply because lap traffic, the 14 of Sammy Lunatic catches the wall. Hunty was behind her and is collected, and because of that, it has cost him, well, I guess the 10 and the 18 have already pit, but we just seen our race leader, Private Patton, on pit road. Yeah.
Now, this is interesting for myself. I'll say this. I still have 3 laps of gas, personally. Was not doing any saving. So just sitting right behind. So I'm very interested to see. Obviously, this means a lot of these guys are looking to cut this race right in half. So, we're at lap 18, so a little bit more than a half, actually. But again, I'm just really eager to see what strategy he's playing. And right now, we are seeing the strategy of just past a half, nearly a fuel round. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but this should be an interesting ending with how it's all setting up. This is going to allow the 21, by the way, to get a good little lead over me in the 77. When he comes out to pitch, the question is, will the tires come to play? And the other question is, will the lower fuel have a factor? That's another thing we should look at.
Did you just talk about yourself in the third person and say
Yes,
me?
I did. Listen, that's the broadcaster in me. That's never about myself. It's about everyone else.
You seem to have a pretty good broadcaster voice. One of these nights we might have to get you in the broadcast booth as an actual broadcaster commentator. You seem to be doing a pretty good job. We're going to have to see how that works there. Ward, Burton. I like your strategy, though. So I really like the concept. I'm talking about to you, but I would say the same thing regardless, right? So the 77 Ward Burton, he's staying out longer. This is going to cost him some time when the 21 comes out of pit road. The 21 is going to have a pretty big lead because you're going to run faster laps with fresh tires. However, that means however far back Ward is, he's actually going to have the fresh tires, and if he comes out with some draft help with those fresh tires, he should be able to reel in that 21. And toward my personal mentality, I want the fresh tires on the last lap of the race. If it comes down when I'm going to battle one-on-one, side-by-side action, coming to the checkered flag, I want to be the guy that's going to have the faster run down the straightaway because I got the fresher tires. And right now, the 77 is setting himself up for that predicament. So I assume he's probably going to lose 2 to 3 seconds on this pit stop, but yeah, I like the strategy because there will still be about half of a full fuel run left when he comes to pit road. So I like the strategy out of the 77. Looks like he's going to signal that he's pitting, or he's getting out of the way of those with the fresh tires. Really dangerous, though. Yeah, really dangerous, though, to come to pit road because of that right there. People on fresh tires coming up behind you when you have old tires, and a whole gaggle of them. One or two may see you signal, and the other may not, and it looks like the 14 gets into the back end of the 77. Almost cost him a lot there, and possibly did. Were you able to get down to pit road speed?
All good, no wrecks.
Let's also keep in mind one other thing that these drivers battle for here on Wednesday nights. Right now, we don't have an A group. We have drivers battling the B group to become the first ever A group. But right now, the B group is the big dog of GC Sports, the B group of customs. Whoever wins this race tonight has the opportunity to race with the big dogs tomorrow night, as Ward got to last week, and he had a top 5 car. Of course, he moved me out of the way on a 3-wide racing incident. Cost me a lot of points there, but yeah, Ward Burton had a great run. He had ran pretty good there with the B group, and the week before, Jacob actually almost won the race at Atlanta. So these drivers here are no joke. We classify them as a C group, but mostly it's just that they are new to the league or just simply didn't finish in the top 10 last season. Private Patton, when this pit cycle rounds out, looks like he will be your race leader. Then after him, it looks as right now the 10 of Jacob, followed by the 18 of Gator Mike. Now those guys pit a little earlier than, again, Ward Burton, but they also pit before that next group behind them, led by I have no clue.
Well, Honey was with them, remember?
No, Honey had just gotten into that incident with the 14 one lap before coming to pit road, so it actually lost about 3 to 4 seconds. The 14 had fresh tires after pitting, got by Hunty, and right after passing him actually hit the wall, and Hunty was involved in it. So Hunty had lost about 2 to 3 seconds on him, which is about the distance he's behind him right now.
Okay.
They did all pit on the same lap, and looks like this is the battle, second and third, Jacob and Mike. Hunty's in fourth, and Ward, you're in fifth. Is that correct?
That would be good.
I'm doing my best to stay caught up. It's really hard without a ticker. Thank you, 704 Games. Maybe Motorsports Games will get us a ticker for this broadcast. So, I mean, it's these, to me personally, it's these broadcasts of their game that makes their game so well known, and so maybe a little broadcast ticker to help the broadcast team. 12 of Duha back here trying to get by. Long live the sauce. This has been a pretty good battle. I don't know who you're watching right now, Piccolo, but I'm watching.
That's exactly who I'm watching.
Yeah, Duha, Long live the sauce, Street Machine. This is his best run. DB the best, Sammy Lunatic, and Blaney. These 6-7 cars have been going at it all race long, and if they would have just started working together, they'd probably be our front pack. They all seem to have a good car. They just a little too racy back here, but I believe this is like 6th, 7th through 10th. So these drivers all looking for a top 10 in the C group.
Speaking of new guys to custom sauce, you know, he's pretty new to customs too, from what I know.
Yeah, he's a true greenhorn. He's actually one of those drivers that doesn't do a full-hearted build. He gets a setup off YouTube, which is nothing wrong with that. But unlike a lot of drivers, he doesn't just get the setup from YouTube. He gets it about a week in advance. He gets on the game, he puts it in, and he actually tests and tunes the few things he does know to adjust. So long live the sauce, kind of intermediate. Builder, you know what I mean? He doesn't do it himself, but he does have enough knowledge to fix the handling, his likings.
Right, he knows what he's doing on sliders.
Yeah, he's good on sliders. Yet to win here in GC Sports, but it's only a matter of time. The guy's fast, and on the slider side, he's always a front runner. Hunty Wild looks like he's going to be under fire by that 77 machine. Ward, when you guys cross the line, can you let me know how many laps are left? In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen on YouTube, I don't believe the 77 is going to have enough time to be able to catch that 21, as here on my screen, following Hunty and the 77 as they're battling side by side now, I can't even see the 21 on the track. So Private Patton looking really good right now in that number 21 Ford Mustang.
Yeah, indeed, we have 8 laps to go. Apologies, 8 laps to go. However, I will say this, while it could be too little too late for myself, I've cut down about a 2-second gap in 2 laps on the racetrack. So, again, it comes down to preference of handling. Could have I stayed up until a little bit too long? Absolutely. But we have to remember, too, with the 21 hitting when we did, his handling in the next lap or so is going to really change on that race car. So I'm eager to see again what happens. And you have to remember too, I have a lot less fuel in the car, which means theoretically I'll be a little bit tighter and carrying a lot more speed. So that could play just a tiny bit of a factor. It may not win me a race, but it could play something in the end if the 21's feeling a little bit ill and a little bit loose.
Yeah, out on YouTube, we got 9 live viewers, a little less than what we tend to have here on Wednesdays, but Corey Denson, Robbie Racing, and Billy Holcomb out there in YouTube land. Big shout out Corey Denson. He tends to race here on Wednesdays, couldn't make tonight's race. Robbie Racing, our man from across the water, is going to be back soon, ladies and gentlemen, via the help that we here at GC Sports helped him when he basically lost his apartment after a flood. We've helped him get back into his apartment. He's now living there, able to see his children, has a PS4, is just waiting to get the PS Plus and a wheel, and he'll be back on the track with us. And Billy Holcomb, shout out to him. He missed last week's events, or he's been a little sick the last couple weeks as he tested positive for COVID and is just now getting over that. So big shout out to those 3, and thanks for tuning in and commenting. Not to change subject from this great racing that's going on, and honestly, I got to tell you, Piccola, here in this group, but the C custom drivers, we're starting to see the cream of the crop week after week. It's for the most part the same drivers, and all 15 drivers that are in the points right now looking to advance into the B group next season, I think they're all competitors to the season after becoming an A group competitor. And I really like what I'm seeing in this lower series. We have really proud to say we have some of the fastest drivers in the Heat 5 game, and hopefully it carries through to Ignition here shortly. Ward's getting by Jacob. That's for 3rd place. I do think that 77 is going to be fast enough to get back into 2nd, as he's got the fresher tires. I don't think Mike's going to have anything for him, but in Mike's eyes, this has got to be a good run with the hardships he's had the last few weeks.
Man, I think he's catching him.
I
think there's, 5 laps left now?
Yeah, 5 laps to go. The gap is 3.8 seconds. And by the way, give the 18 a lot of credit. He's made up a little bit of ground. Again, it's just, it may be too little too late. But again, a mistake for Patton could change everything late in this race. And let me tell you something. I've had my good history of late race chokes. Very much notoriously. He sometimes gets a little bit too comfortable when you're out there in the lead. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it's so easy on these old tires to just slip up and say, all right, well, I can just keep here and there. So he's got to be real conservative, make sure he doesn't blow the gap too much, and continue here with 4 laps to go to stay mistake-free.
Yeah, real quick here at GC Sports, we like to help drivers out, so we're going to ride along with Ward Burton as we're going to see the gap of him and Private Patton. We're going to do a little GC Sports rev it up, 4 laps to go. This will help you, to anybody at home, if you're listening to how Ward's controlling that throttle, this will help you with how to run this track smoothly, so just pay attention as he's now going into turn 2. We'll be back as he crosses the line. Alright, and we're back. I dropped my controller, so the view is going to be a little out of shape here for a second. Alright, able to grab it and switch view. I didn't see in that lap, I didn't see you gain a whole lot of ground. I'm assuming probably a tenth, maybe 2 tenths or so, but I didn't see a whole big gap. And with only 4 laps remaining, I feel like this race is Patton's to lose. But again, he
pit 3 laps remaining now.
Oh, dang it. My math is always off at least once a race. But either way, I still like the strategy that the 77 had of pitting when he did. It wasn't the race-winning move, apparently. However, he went to pit road. He was in second before the stops. He comes out in second. He has the faster car, the better handling. So the people that are subject to lose their positions now are, like Gator Mike, Jacob's fallen off really bad. He might lose that spot to Hunty now as he's under fire for 4th place. But the longer you're on your tires, the looser or tighter your vehicle is going to get depending on your setup. Makes you much more subject to having issues later in the run. And as they're at 2 to go, it's Patton's race to lose. But Patton has run a very good, clean race. Qualified second. He's had a fast car. Ward Burton running great. GTR Mike great. Jacob and Hunty. Everyone here in the top 5 is, honestly, you put them in the B group, I think they're just as competitive and running just as fast. So kudos to all these drivers out here tonight. DB the best. I'm not sure where he's running. 21 drivers started this race, and it's really hard to justify who's running where other than your top 5.
Right.
White flag.
White flag. We're going to go ahead and ride along with your race leader here on the last lap as he actually has some lap traffic in front of him. This could come into play. He probably won't catch them outright. However, those guys are racing with 2 laps to go. That would be for position. Any contact, any wreck there, and Patton is just going to have to be really cautious, but he's got a pretty good gap to the 77 as he gets ready to go in through turn 2 here. He gets down below the apron as we talked about earlier. He wants to coast all the way up to the wall. That is the fast line around here. The trick is not hitting that wall, as we've seen a few. Man Myth the Legend, or Man Me, rubbing him and a tiller in front of him as he comes through turn number 3. Your race winner here at Pocono will be the 21 of the Private Patton as he goes down into the checkered flag little victory lane section there. Ward Burton is going to come home in second, followed by GTR Mike in third, Jacob in fourth, and Hunty Wild rounding out your top 5. Not sure if the car behind Hunty was on the lead lap. I don't even see a car behind him now. That was weird. Alright, so I'm going to try to get those 3 in here. And to anybody driving tonight, please remember to get results. I can't exactly do points without results. I'm only going to have to add 2 names into the broadcast booth. Ward, I'm going to start with you since you're already in here. Second place finish, your pit strategy seemed to be what cost you. You just lost too much time, and it looked like too late, too little in being able to catch back up. Any thoughts? Is that what you believe as well?
Yeah, I think the 21 had a really, really good race, and he played the perfect strategy. Again, that's the tough part with 32 laps. It's what strategy you play. He opted to come down at lap 18. I opted to come down at lap 20 or 21 and take the less amount of fuel. But again, I mean, when you look at these races, Taddy, it's such a tough decision to make because, while yes, winning the race is ideal, you have to remember about points. This is an endurance. not just a group up race for a championship in this short season. So at the same time for myself, yeah, it stinks I didn't win and I'm not going to race with B tomorrow, but at the end of the day, a second place day, come home with the podium. That's another consecutive one, or I should say it's a third one this season for me, and my, I think, fourth top 5 now. But to just come away with another top 5, a good points day, 95 points, you can live with it and like it.
Sorry, I was getting the picture of the fast lap. Fast lap here tonight actually goes to GTR Jacob with a 52.6. A good run by him as he got a top 5 as well. Yeah, it's funny you say that, right? So you don't get to race with B Group this week. However, running consistently top 5, top 10, podium finishes as you've been doing all season long here at GC Sports in that number 77. Again, it's not a car that we see up front very often. It is the 77. But the end goal for every driver should not necessarily be to win individual races. It's always great, like you said, but points-wise, you just have to finish in the top 15, and you get to not only join the B group for one race, but you get to be a part of that for a whole series. So I really like what you said there, Ward. And real quick, you've now been with us for about 4 weeks. You've seen the highs and the lows of the series. Overall, how's your competition stacking up against you, and how are you liking it here at GC Sports?
I'm liking it a lot. Again, this is my first big PlayStation League overall, and I've really liked the transition. It's real tough, and especially, to open up the season. And I think I mentioned this in the last interview. We're seeing so many challenging tracks to open up the year. Pocono, this is a track that has a history of being a wreck fest, but yet tonight, not really many wrecks. A lot of it was in the mid or back portion of the field, but everyone, was pretty much mild-mannered, and, that takes a lot of compliment to the drivers in this league and the preparation and everything else. And I'll say throughout my first 4 weeks, again, it's been a pleasure, to be open to welcome arms and have a lot of fun racing. Hey, you don't have to come out and win every race to have a lot of fun. Tonight I had a lot of fun being in second, learned a lot, and I think Watkins Glen's next week, which is another track that, hey, we're going to learn a lot, but it's how you try to be safe, how you try to be on the track. And I think everyone here in this C group, obviously look at, for example, Patton, who won tonight's race, as well as a whole other group, GTR Mike, DB, the junior, which I don't know where he finished, but like guys like those, hey, we all are under the same expectation of not just racing for a championship, but we're looking to, move up to be, get to that next step. And I think that aspect of motivation really plays into a big factor of guys in this short season. Because, while it's great to win a championship, it's great to win races, there's a bigger picture. You have a lot to gain, a lot to lose. There's a lot of difference from staying down in C here with no cautions and moving up races, which is a lot what is something that a lot of these guys do want to do next year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You really nailed that on the head. And anyways, I want to say congratulations again having you in the podium finish. Can't say it's a surprise. You are one of the fast competitors out here on Wednesday nights. So congratulations, and expect to see great things out of you next week at the Glen.
Indeed, it's not necessarily one of my strongest tracks, but I look forward to it. Again, congrats to the 21 and Pat on the well and Glen.
All right, we're going to go over to third place finisher, simply because we had to wait for him to get in the lobby. Mike, you are on Always Allow, I would assume, after broadcasting this week.
Of course.
Let me get over to the 18 car. Pico, you want to take this one?
Nope.
Shocker. All right, Mike, we talked about throughout the race how you have been having a horrid season in that
Terrible.
18 car. You have a fast car week after week, but you're just unable to put it together to be able to be there at the end. A lot of that is because of carnage that you just none of your own that you're causing, but being involved in others' woes. You finally get a podium finish. You had a great car. You ran up front, not just at the beginning, but the whole race. Go over your race, and congratulations.
Yeah, it feels nice to finally bring it home with a top 5. I feel like I've had a car worthy of the top 5 for the first 4 races of the season, but for one reason or another, trouble always found me, and I always had to battle my way up from the back. So to stay up in the front all race was pretty nice. I had nothing for Pat, and I had nothing for Ward Burton. Those guys are just on another level, like Patton last night in the sliders, man. He's just That dude's he's a machine. But third place, I can't complain with that. I'll take it, especially with how brand new I am to custom racing. I'm a virgin to custom setups. So to finish third behind those guys and even get mentioned by Ward Burton, I mean that's an honor, man. He's one of the best in the whole game on both platforms. So man, I'm pretty stoked about this finish.
Yeah, he actually just felt bad that he had to pass you late, so he wanted to give you a shout out. We were actually talking about how some of the greenhorns to customs are running really well. Now, the positive here for greenhorns to be joining GC Sports, the C Group, the game's been out for a long time, so even though you may be new to the custom side of the racing, this is going to give you insight as you go into the new game, which they're not starting with customs, but when they come out, you have a little bit of insight and help, right? So you're showing up and showing out for somebody to be so new to customs. You're getting an understanding, and I expect great things from you in the future here, not only on the slider side, but in the custom side of GC Sports.
Yeah, I've only ran like 10 league races total in custom setups, if that. And 4 of those are these first 4 races this season. So I'm hoping over time I can get more accustomed to it and just get faster and learn more things and be able to contend for wins. But for right now, third place is like a win for me tonight, and can't wait to see what Watkins Glen brings next week and see what I can pull out there.
Absolutely, man. Well, again, congratulations, and excited to see what you have at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, for sure. Just real quick, I want to shout out Private Patton again, winning the race here 2 nights in a row. So shout out to him, shout out to Ward, everybody who ran up front, and GC Sports, and of course my GTR brethren. So shout out to all you guys, and see you next week.
Wait, Custom Night, you're not even going to shout out RTR? That's rude.
I mean,
just saying.
I
was an
thought
RTR
that was
setup.
more of a thing. I thought that was more of a thing for Ignition, but I'll go ahead and shout out RTR as well for that wonderful chassis I had tonight.
Yeah, just saying it was an RTR setup. That's all,
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we're going to go over now to the Private Patton, the gatekeeper of the C Series, so to say. You ran a test scheme. I can't pull that up online right now, so we're going to go with your typical all-star paint scheme. Right, so for the viewers that don't know, before you get to say anything, Patton's actually was qualified for the B group. Via his schedule, he's unable to run in the B group on Thursdays. However, as we move forward, when the B group gets moved to Wednesdays, he'll hopefully advance and be the gatekeeper on that side, stopping people from making the A group. Anyways, all in all, Private Patton, you're racing the likes of Ward Burton, Gator Mike, Gator GTR Jacob. You had Hunty running in 5th. You used your pit strategy to get a huge lead, and you never looked back. Congratulations, and go through your race.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you. I am very much happy with my title as a gatekeeper here. I'm just proud to be here, like I said, and be shouted out by likes of Word as well as just everyone in the GTR group. Mike, thank you so much. We have, that really tickles my pickle. So I have. I don't know, Pocono. I don't know how I did it. I came in with so low expectations, and to win back-to-back nights, that's awesome. I was expecting someone to try split it right in half, and I knew from last night that making that nice even, pitting in nice even sections doesn't work. You have to at least go past your normal pit lap. So that's why I waited 2 laps until after halfway, and I was like, okay, now is the right time. And I was actually really surprised that Word actually pit after me, because I know that compared to my fastest times, which was by myself, I could probably hit a 6, 5 if I hit an absolutely perfect lap, and then a second drop off. So by just having fresh tires, that's a huge advantage. So I was actually very surprised when that happened and he didn't follow me into the pits. But honestly, this thing was fantastic both nights all around. This 21 Ford Mustang for the Wood Brothers was absolutely phenomenal. Watkins Glen, I don't have too many expectations for that. I'm expecting to probably be sideways, facing the wrong way in the S's. Lap one on both races, so we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, ultimately, thank you guys for having a fantastic race.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Watkins Glen next week. I'm not excited to be a part of Watkins Glen. I'm excited to watch the C groups, as there's usually tends to be some ringers, guys that you're not seeing up front tend to be up front, as well as you have some of the regulars up front. I want to thank you personally, Patton. With you getting a race win, this lets me get in here and interview you. And as league CEO, more than anything, I really want to thank you. You're one of the drivers that make sure to give us a shout out across social media platforms. And it's drivers like you and what you do for this league, especially, as well as all the other ones that you run in. It gives it lets other people know how the racing is going, and how good a league can be, and brings interest in. So I really want to thank you for that. And Ward, of course, you shouted out last week after you won. So I want to thank you guys both on that. And again, congratulations on your victory. And you know the rules. If you're available tomorrow night, which I don't know how your schedule is, but you are welcome to race Pocono in the B group tomorrow night. We're hoping, not this week, but hopefully the next week or two, Robbie Racing will be making his return. He is a driver that qualified for the B group. He'll be dropping to the C via the points rules, but he should be returning here shortly. That's everything that catches up here this week as far as GC Sports. Tune in next Monday as the C Slider group gets ready to tackle Watkins Glen. Should be interesting. They have been having no less than 24 cars per week. So 24 Cup cars getting ready to tackle Watkins Glen with no cautions. Turn one could make or break your race. Should be a good one. Mike, are you still in the booth here?
I am.
Do you have any closing remarks before I go off air?
No, just excited to see what the B Customs put on tomorrow night. They are a very competitive series. I've seen some lap times on the daily leaderboards and stuff, and it's going to be stacked tomorrow night. And I'm excited for our first and only road course next week for all series. So we've got a lot coming up here in GC Sports, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to lie. I almost just got off air talking about nothing but Monday. I forgot about the race tomorrow, and I'm actually in that one. Ward, are you still in here? Guessing not. Okay. Pat, do you have any closing remarks there?
Just like I said, thank you everyone for watching, especially everyone that participates. I mean, I was a part of a party chat that had like Hunty as well as Country Caliber kind of looking in on what to expect for tomorrow. It just, the whole atmosphere is fantastic. So like, just everyone watching, everyone racing, thank you. And be a part of it, as well as I work my way into the B group again.
Yeah, you always have the opportunity, but of course, once you drop your C now, there's no going back. But
C
again,
for life.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the fact that it's a gatekeeper, right? So I really like this. Piccolo, I'm going to go over to you. So Patton is, via schedule, he can only run on Wednesdays, not Thursdays. That drops him back into the C group. But I believe Patton, this is your first win this season in the C group?
Yeah.
So how cool is that, right? Somebody that has already, no, I don't mean that in a bad way, right? I'm actually utilizing that as, I'm using that as a good sense.
In 4 races, come on.
I'm using that in a good sense. I'm using that as a good sense in this scenario, right? So Piccolo, we have a guy that is already from season 1 qualified into the B group that we expect week after week to be a top competitor in the B group, right? Now, schedule-wise, he had to drop to the C. And 4 races in, he's just now getting his first win. So what does that say about the talent here in the C group?
3 races technically, because
Oh, yeah.
It's really good, that's for sure. It says, I'm glad I'm not in C, because I'd be losing down there too.
Yeah.
Just like I do in B.
Do you have, as we get ready to end this broadcast and get ready for tomorrow night, do you have any closing remarks here for GC Sports, me, the drivers, and or the fans at home?
Nope.
Okay, per usual, man, a few words. I want to give, before we go off air, I'm from Norman, Oklahoma. Anybody that watches this broadcast that is from Oklahoma, I want to give a huge shout out to. It's been a really tough week for everyone that lives in Oklahoma. We've had 21 tornadoes touchdown in state this week, and cities that did not get a tornado touchdown have actually gotten worse damage than some of the other places. Stillwater got hit hard. Norman's been hit hard. Shout out to anybody living in the South dealing with those struggles. I know I personally was affected, right, and so I can only feel the pain for you other guys. So shout out to you guys. Robbie, I'm glad you tuned in. It's great to see that you're coming back, and to everyone else that's viewing, we still have 8 live viewers and comments still coming in. So tune in tomorrow night. It's you guys out here in YouTube land that is making this league a success. We do it for you guys. We do it for the drivers, and we're trying to build a community here. So for myself, P. Cola, Private Pat, and Gator Mike, the rest of the drivers here in the C group, we're going to call it a night. Thanks for tuning in, and see you tomorrow night.